Welcome to the live stream, guys. I'm going to get to this gentleman in this picture in just a minute. Before we start the live stream, I want to point out that our friend Mark Lee from OnlyFins is doing an event this weekend. It's called Chaos in the Canyon, and it's in the Grand Canyon in Wellsboro. The description of this reads as follows. Chaos in the Canyon is an annual 2-day kayak fishing and camping event. So you can read the rest of that, but basically he has campsites set up for you. You don't have to reserve anything, but he does say that you need to have Class 2 experience. That is rapids. So these are rapids, real rapids you have to deal with. You have to know what you're looking at. Simply put, if you don't know what a Class 2 rapid is, then this probably isn't the trip for you. So you must have some, at least basic level understanding of what rapids are. But Class 2 experience is required, and you will need a PDF. But you guys can read through the description there, and you can look up OnlyFins, and the dates are this weekend, 1st through the 4th. So the actual float is on the 2nd. And anyways, you can look that up. It's on OnlyFins, on his Facebook page there. And you guys can check that out if you want to, but I want to make sure you guys knew about it. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I have a few things set up for you, but before I dive into it, I guess I should point out that we have a couple things just directly ahead of us. First of all is the bank angling event at Weaver Falls. That's coming up in just like 2 weeks, something like that. Registration for that is down below. If you would do that, I'd appreciate it. And tonight we're going to talk about Jon Boat fishing. A lot of what we cover, though, is going to be relatable to any small boat. So it's not just Jon Boat, but it's going to be small boat. And you guys might have noticed that I've started what I'm calling the Jon Boat fishing series on my YouTube channel. I did get a Jon Boat, I did fix it up, and I am fishing from it. The purpose of the Jon Boat fishing series is to show you how to use essentially basic techniques to fish at Raystown Lake. So I'm going to focus, if you will, when I go out on the Jon Boat, I'm going to focus my efforts in using very traditional, or we might say old-fashioned, fishing techniques. So it'll be a lot of drift fishing, a lot of anchoring, true hard anchor fishing, a lot of rod in hand kind of fishing. So boat control specifically for small boats, and all of that you can relate to larger boats. However, I will say, and I think we're going to get into it here in tonight's live stream, small boats do fish better. I stand on that. I stand on that firmly. I do believe small boats fish better. There's a reason why when you charter boats, they're typically smaller. Boat control has such a big influence in your success on the water that if you actually have to put your money where your mouth is, that is when people get on your boat, they need to be catching fish. You'll start to whittle away at all the things that are kind of nonsensical, things that get between you and the catch. Go away, because you need to be catching fish. And I can tell you, one of the first things that changes in the mindset of captains who focus on fishing charters is they get a smaller craft so that they can better focus their boat control. So we're going to talk about that tonight. But I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for being here right at the beginning of the live stream. Joe missed the boat. Good evening back to you as well. Robin Miller, good evening. Rick, Buck, I see you all. Trophy Hunter, welcome back. I appreciate you guys being right here at the beginning of the live stream. It always makes me feel better. And you guys can probably hear from my voice, I'm not feeling all that great tonight. I was on the water most of today, and I'm kind of worn out from it. And for some reason, I think it's affecting my voice. Go figure. but I got a tall jug of water, and I got a sunburn too. I don't know if that light is going to make it out, but there you go. See the sun? There it is. There it is. Can't hide it now. Got the old farmer tan going on. So we had a good day on the water. I went out and I ran the boat for a little bit. I even made a little video and I threw that up on the channel. You guys are welcome to check that out during, after, whenever. So it's on the channel. I appreciate it. All right, so let's start talking about Jon Boat fishing. We're 5 minutes into this. This gentleman that I brought up here, this is, guys, let me point out that I have been using this gentleman's art and diagrams, his artistry and his pictures have come up on my live streams several times as I've been streaming, and I felt like I couldn't do any more live streams without giving this man at least a moment here to give him credit. This is Wiley Miller. Wiley Miller is he's an artist, of course. He's a taxidermist, as you can see behind him. He does a lot of taxidermy. He's passed away now, but that's his craft. And I use a lot of his art in my live streams, and I'm glad to do that. That being said, he is gone now, so we're using stuff that is his artwork that's coming from his catalog of art, if you will. And tonight is no exception. I'm going to use a bunch of art from this gentleman right here, Wiley Miller, who did a lot of wildlife art. And so we're going to share that. I just want to make sure that I gave recognition to the gentleman for the artistry and the craft and these awesome pictures that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. So this first one is not Wiley Miller. This is just a diagram. I'm just using this diagram to point out now, like tonight I was out with the Jon Boat, and I'll make my head bigger in just a second. But this diagram that I have here for the Jon Boat, it's pretty accurate. There's really only one thing about this whole diagram that I want to change, and it's right here with this word. Easy. That is easy to transport by trailer or the bed of the truck. I can tell you guys full-heartedly that today, I had to load and unload my 14-foot Jon Boat and engine and all the gear and stuff by hand, and I can tell you it was not easy. I consider myself to be pretty fit, to be pretty strong, and I can tell you that it was not easy. Easy is not the word that I would use to describe it. So that's the one thing from this diagram I would change, but this is essentially what I'm personally running right now at Raystown Lake. And you'll see that it is a flat bottom boat for fishing inshore lakes, usually inshore lakes. Sometimes you do some saltwater bays, but usually it's inshore lakes. And what do we target when we go out there? But here at Lake Raystown, we target a lot of striper, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but I really enjoyed this piece of art right here. Good evening, Mr. Hagee. Welcome to the live stream. I think this is curious because I'm not sure how many people do this here at Raystown Lake, but the fishermen, if you look, the line is straight up, which means they are vertically jigging a spoon, this silver shiny spoon for striped bass. I would tell you it's probably a little undersized, honestly. I think you could probably double that spoon and it'd probably be more appropriate for striped bass. But again, this piece of art here is from Wiley Miller, so giving him credit. And then this number 1 MEPS spinner used on a rainbow trout. Just a good representation of what a rainbow is. It's very arched, and look at the perfect circle on it and stuff. But you can see his name right down here, Wiley Miller. But we're going to use a bunch of art from Mr. Wiley Miller, and I appreciate the art. I appreciate a lot of the arts. It's crazy how I've had the good fortune, I'll say, of being able to surround myself with great artists through the years, and I'm grateful that I have some art ability in myself, but that even my own daughter has carried that on. She has carried on the artist gene, if you will. And then I have, of course, Bradley of Fish King's Cutlery. I don't know if maybe he'll stop in tonight, but he's a local knife artisan. And then Jeremy out at Aquatic Imitations, who runs a business there for fly tying. There's fly tying art. There's art like Wiley Miller does, and then there's art and music like I do. There's just art all around me, and I'm really grateful for that. I think art just makes the whole world more beautiful. So pardon my voice tonight if you're just tuning in. I have a little bit of a sore throat, but we're going to keep on grinding. There, Mr. Wiley Miller's Rainbow Trout on a MEP spinner too. I used to run these MEP spinners across the points. I used to have my Jon Boat back in the day, and I would just do a rod in hand, and I would drive my Jon Boat around all the points, and I would grind. Guys, I would do that for hours. I would run long line and just run one rod and a big MEP spinner, and I used to do okay. I used to catch whatever was swimming too. I would catch, of course, I'd catch bass and perch, caught walleye before with that, and just it's a all around target lure. If it's the heat of the day and you're not on fish and you kind of want to search points, what a great idea to just drag a MEP spinner across the points as you're driving around looking with your electronics, especially off the Jon Boat, because you can really carve the edges. All right, so this is our first diagram of the night. I want to talk about buoys with you. And I am probably one of the few people that has actually run buoys. Though I will say that when I ran buoys, I didn't run them as complicated as this diagram is right here, but fundamentally, all I've ever done is run 2 buoys. As you can see, they got 2, 4, 6, 8 buoys here, but this technique would certainly work. You could do the same thing with 2 buoys. It just wouldn't be as detailed. But as it reads here, it's just talking about before the days of fish finders, they used to use these buoy markers. So let me explain what you're actually looking at here. The wind direction is important. So they're on the upwind side of a structure. In this case, it's just a sunken island. But they would take, most commonly, I think they would use like laundry detergent jugs or milk jugs or pop bottle jugs, like a 2-liter bottle or something like that. And they would attach a cord to it. And depending on the depth you want to mark, let's say you want to mark 20 feet, like this diagram, you would put a 20-foot line off of that jug. And you would just stick all 8 of those jugs into your boat here, and you would drive along the edge of whatever that structure is. You'd be on the upwind side of it, and you would drop them every 10 feet or every 20 feet, whatever it is, however big this sunken structure is. You would drop them in a straight line here, and the wind would push them over until they actually touched bottom. And you can see that the line that you had down, or whatever you had weighted at the bottom, would anchor whenever it got to 20 feet. What this would do then is it would show you, when you're on your Jon Boat, you would have a visual on the surface of the water where the edge is. That is the 20-foot depth line. So that's the contour that you're marking. Good evening, Corey. I see you, buddy. Good evening. So that would mark the edge at 20 foot in this case, in this example. And then you could troll it, or you could cast it. You could work on the downhill side of it or in the shallow side of it. The thing, whenever you're working buoys, is to understand that you need to have a little bit of foresight in it. So you need to be thinking about how you actually want to fish. If you want to target the super shallow section, 20 foot is pretty good, right? So you mark on a 20, and then you know that you just need to keep all your casting, all your fishing activity needs to stay on the shallow side of that. So within the barrier, if you will, that you made with your jugs. Or maybe you would put 30 or 40 or 50 foot jug lengths, depending on the kind of depths you're dealing with. But you would mark where those territories are, or where that boundary is, to give you that depth line. There's a lot of ways to use jugs and markers and buoys. Another way is to simply drop them where you want to start and where you want to finish, so that you troll up and back along, let's say, like a draw or a channel underneath water. If you've identified where the channel is, you drop a buoy, and then you drive way out to the other end of the channel and drop a buoy, and then you travel in between them. But what we're looking at here is a sunken island in this case. What was it about this? It says, it said motor oil containers. I don't recommend that. use a milk jug, guys. Milk jug is good. And then, of course, it marks the 20 foot. And then you can anchor and cast, or you can do back trolling runs. It's talking about direction of boat here, but that's just for dropping. You can actually back troll this and cast it. Ultimately, the idea is to just mark that edge that you plan on working. So it's just a good idea. Just a simple technique, something to help you identify where the edge is. My camera tonight seems to be having trouble focusing, doesn't it? I'm gonna just flash my camera here. Just hang on for 1 second. I'm just gonna flash it. There you go. Usually brings it into focus. See if that works. Rick says he was up, seen Jeremy Saturday. Nice. That's Jeremy at Aquatic Imitations. Purchased some supplies. He has a very nice shop. If anybody needs fly tying supplies, yeah, he does. He has an incredible fly tying shop. On top of that, he also has live bait too. So he's got all the live baits that you would want. So it's a good little shop. And I remember when I was younger, I used to stop there when it was Melnick's. It was called Melnick's back then, I believe. And now it's called Nick's Gas Stop or something like that. But he's right on the edge over there in the same building. It's on that same little strip mall kind of thing. But it's there on the Jonestown Mountain Road coming from Altoona into, I guess that's Hollidaysburg there. I think it's still Hollidaysburg there. Anyways, right there at Melnick's, the old Melnick's. Yeah, that's great, Rick. I'm glad you stopped in. Yeah, I stopped in just the other day too. Picked up a couple flies. I want to run some large flies. I want to try for Lakers. Good deal. I found some more art by Wiley Miller. You can see his name right down here in the bottom. This, I've been talking a lot about Lakers with you guys, and so I wanted to show you. This is just a standard Lindy rig, and my head's in the way, so you can't see the weight. Yeah, let me just move it up here. So this is the standard Lindy weight. And see, it's just kind of like a little rock to it. And then this leader length here goes back to a leech. Just a leech on a J-hook. So simple swivel. This is a slider weight. So this would come up or down. But it gets stopped there at the swivel. And you can change the length of this swivel if you want this to be longer or shorter. And then you can inflate the worm or the leech. I think you can inflate leeches. I haven't done that, but typically what you do is inflate worms. And what you could do is then increase this length, and that would make it a little bit higher. But most of the time with walleye, you're going to keep it kind of tight to the bottom. And that's kind of what this is depicting. Special note here is to see what kind of ground Wiley Miller was saying that you would find these walleye on. They typically do not like soft bottoms. So you're looking for something that's hard bottom. Ideally, it would be hard rock size. Stuff that's about as big as around as your fist. Or I think we talked about a watermelon size. So a fist to a watermelon. Basically, you got to be able to pick these rocks up. If you can find rocks that size, it's really good for walleye. And then I just thought this was a beautiful picture, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Just the gold colors and everything. And once again, there's two things working here. Weed edges are really common for walleye as well. And then, of course, we have the rock kind of the transition zone here with the rock changing over to a transition of weeds or grass. And special note, this is easy to miss, but we're seeing like a little window into the mind of Wiley Miller. And I can only guess that he's a pretty good fisherman because of the way he thinks whenever he's doing his art. But what you might easily miss about this piece of art is the boater. The boat right up here. I want you to imagine the depth and what kind of depth this might be. This is 25 to 30 feet of water, quickly transitioning up into like 10 or 15 feet of water. And you can see that he cast over this little Smithwick or whatever it is, this little diver right over here. Good colors too. I talk a lot about gold for walleye. Gold with a black back seems to be pretty good for walleye. I'm saying from my experience up at Lake Erie, that's a pretty good color to go for. And I imagine it's not too much different wherever you go. If you're looking for walleye, this is a good picture to reference. Take a moment and just imprint this picture into your brain. Rocky shoals transitioning with grass. And you could flip this too. The grasses could be shallow and the rocks could be deep, but you're looking for that transition zone. And you see that the walleye are kind of just holding in there in this art. Pretty accurate. Really like that. I think Wiley did a great job on that. All right, so I want to get into this Jon Boat fishing thing here with you. I'm not going to talk about the map too much, but if you guys have any questions, you want me to address something specifically, please just say something in the chat, and I will do so. I did make it out on the Jon Boat tonight. If you guys get a chance, I did make a little video for it tonight. I'm going to do a series of Jon Boat fishing videos to not just show the basic, if you will, the basic approach to fishing from small boats here at Raystown Lake, but I'm going to show you some of the equipment that I use to help you effectively take your small boat, maybe your first steps, if you will, with taking, it doesn't have to be a small boat, but basically basic equipment that you might need at Raystown Lake. Raystown Lake is unique in a lot of ways as far as not just a fishery, but a recreational boating body of water. There's some things about Raystown that's kind of unique too. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit with the Jon Boat series. What could I mean with that? That would be like anchoring. Anchoring is tough to do at Lake Raystown because we have so many snags underneath water. If you send an anchor down, do not expect to get it back. That's the point. So there's little things like that at Raystown Lake that are specific, and I'm going to talk about how to apply that, not just for fishing, but also for recreational boating as well. Stuff that might be helpful. I found this cool diagram about fishing multiple people from one boat. We think of Jon Boat fishing as being for two people, but it is very possible to fish three. And what you have here is the guy who's steering, and I'm usually this guy. He's back trolling into the wind and probably into the current. He's trolling. In this way, he might not exactly be trolling, but he might be doing what we call slipping, or it's a form of drift fishing. It's a technique that we use in drift fishing. And he's letting the guy on the very bow of the boat essentially cast behind the travel direction of the boat. And then the man in the center, see how he's sitting straddled on the side here, he's casting directly ahead and to the side of the boat. So even on a small boat, you can fish three guys effectively and get a good spread. Now, I will say that the way this wake is moving, it gives the impression that this boat is moving very, kind of quickly. Now, it could be that the current is strong and so it ripples, but it's just art. I know it's just art. But the point here is when you're fishing like this, it's going to be rod and hand stuff. You're going to be very slow. So, small boat, small movements. I would even say that a lot of this is going to be pause fishing. So you're going to pull forward and find a spot, and you're going to do your best to kind of hold that spot so that your two anglers on the bow and on the midsection can cast off. Now your trolling hand, you'll have one down there, and you're trying to feel the bottom the whole time. So it might take a half-ounce sinker to get you down there in the bottom, but you want to be walking that lure across the bottom while you're working that tiller engine back there, back trolling into it. You're going to be pulling it super, super slow, and then the two anglers there in front of you, they're going to be doing the same. All three guys on that boat are going to be highly engaged. And you on the throttle, you want to really dial it back, dial it way down. You want to overcompensate. That is, you don't want to go at the speed you could go. You know, it'd be like, oh, I could go faster, so I'm going to go faster. It's the opposite of that. It's like, I could go slower, so I'm going to go slower. It's really as slow as you can go without stopping. And even that's an exception, because if you can hesitate and float and not lose ground, just kind of hold position, that's a very good thing. This gives your anglers on the side a chance to work their lures much more effective. The boat control of the guy running the tiller in the rear is critical to the success of everybody on the boat. This man right here controlling the boat is going to be responsible for a good day or a bad day on the water. But three men fishing off a small boat like this. The thing with Jon Boats is you can get into places that are much smaller, much more narrow, much more shallow. Even areas that are overhung with trees. Areas that larger boats can't get into, you can go back there and fish them with the Jon Boat. I've even seen people take Jon Boats and get back into swampy areas and then drag their boat up over humps, like, you know, whenever there's like a sandbar, and they get in on the other side and they go back and fish an area where no one else is fishing because their boats are too big. There was, I remember the Lindner guys used to take aluminum boats out and fish, and they would get small aluminum boats, and they would be able to get back into these tangles and just messes that a lot of folks couldn't fish just because they had bigger vessels. And it's all good. It's just they can't fish it. Small boats fish better, especially when we're talking rod in hand stuff. Now, where are they targeting here? You can see the lines drawn. You can kind of make this out. He's casting up here, and then when he retrieves, it's going to kind of come back along here. If your engine guy is advancing too quickly, you could find out. You could see how this would be. Instead of retrieving back this way, he would end up throwing here and then retrieving forward. Now, this is a problem because the guy in the front needs to be casting to the front and pulling back. And then this man here, you throw him back, and you get this kind of like sweep return. The point is that this needs to be a slow movement, slow presentation. Boat control is everything. This guy right here is responsible for the success or failure of the group. It's an important dude right there. Mark, good evening. Hey, Matt. Good evening, everyone, he says. Good evening to everybody. If you guys end up showing up to these live streams late, or if you just catch up to them a day or two later, that's no problem, guys. I am doing these live streams so that there's a catalog of videos teaching just recorded. So it's really okay if you guys show up. If you guys miss a live stream, don't feel bad about it. You can always come back and reference these videos whenever you're ready to. So it might be that you're not ready to go out for walleye yet, but walleye season's coming. But whenever it hits and you're like, hey, I want to go out for walleye, well, go back and watch my walleye live stream so that you can come out and have some information to hit the water with. Because I might say something that kind of gets your brain working. Ultimately, that's the goal of all these live streams. Not so much to teach you something that I know, but it's really to get your mind thinking about it, to start seeing things that maybe you hadn't looked at before. And that's where real learning actually starts. This is a back trolling method that is really common with your Jon Boats. Smaller boats, you can work these edges like this. I had mentioned pulling the MEPS spinner across the points. This is very similar, I guess I want to say, but it's more or less working the vegetation, the rock piles, and then of course the topography here, the contours. So you see how he's doing this S pattern? This is the boat travel right here as he's back trolling, and he is trolling, so his rod's just hanging out trolling. This is similar to what I used to do, but I usually didn't back troll. I usually ran, with the keel forward, with the bow forward, and just ran it. But what he's doing by doing this serpentine method is he's working both deep and shallow as he's pulling his whatever, say his plug or his spinner, whatever the lure is, his spoon, and he's working through the contours. So he's working all the way out to 35 feet and all the way shallow to 25 feet. But this gives him the opportunity to work the whole contour. And the thing about this is if you do choose to do this S pattern kind of trolling, is whenever you load up, try to take note of the depth where you did load up. So if you loaded up when you were out here in the deep, and maybe it's just a fluke. So if you load up 2 times and both times you were out here over the deep, you might want to adjust your S pattern to be more on the deep. So instead of rolling 35 to 25, now you do 45 to 35. And just try to work the section where you're getting the most results from. But just a simple S pattern like this can help you eliminate dead area in the lake. Now, if you get onto a transition like gravel into the sandbar or vegetation, this vegetation that's here, or as you're doing this, you can be marking and searching. Something that I do when I'm trolling for lake trout. So if I'm out and I'm just pulling a bunch of lines for lake trout and I have some clients on board, we might be catching lake trout, here and there. But the whole time that I'm doing that, I'm watching the electronics and I'm taking note of the trees, the area where the trees are, to see if there's maybe some lakers sitting in the tops of those trees. And I'll mark them as waypoints. If I am pushing an edge or a point and I see some fish pushed up on the side there, I'll waypoint it. So the point is, when you're out here doing this, your techniques, when you're actually out here trolling, whether it's back trolling or just straight on trolling for trolling spoons or plugs, whatever it is, or live bait, as you see structure or as you mark clusters of fish, waypoint them so that you can adjust your trolling pattern so that you come back through them, or whenever you pull lines in, you can go over and do what I recommend and just do some rod and hand stuff and try to jig them up. Jigging at Raystown Lake for these fish is something I think that it's underutilized. We'll say that. There's a lot of trolling going on, but there's not so much rod and hand stuff going on. The exception to that is, of course, bass fishing. A lot of guys go out bass fish, rod in hand, and they do pretty good like that. The S pattern. I have a couple more pictures here from Mr. Wiley Miller. These are the crappie. I've been on a crappie kick lately. I like crappie, and it's a lot of fun to fish for them. They're very unique species, and not to mention the fact that they're such good eaters. It's just a good eating fish. But this is a picture from Wiley Miller here with just a stringer of crappie. This thing is pretty cool. Even today when I was out on the Jon Boat, you guys can watch the video. It is up. But even today out there, that's what I was trying to target, Now, mostly I was just out running the boat, but when I stopped long enough to show you guys, actually I showed a technique on there about how to anchor on these trees and stuff where the crappie are without spot lock. And it's probably a superior anchor as well. But I was actually targeting crappie whenever I stopped, and I unfortunately I did not put one in the boat, but I think I had 2 hits from crappie, and I just missed the hook set. I just missed them. That's all. That's fishing. And then here's a cool float and fly, they call this. It's more of a float and jig, but this guy down here, we would call this a float and fly rig. And it's on a slip bobber. So it's real traditional for crappie, especially if you're dealing with jigging over timber like you see, or pond fishing for crappie. The float and fly technique is really fantastic. But another Wiley Miller piece of art. Just really appreciate this art. So this is a spider rig, and this is off the front of, we'll say this is a souped up Jon Boat. This is a pretty incredible Jon Boat here. It's got two full seats, got a console. This is like, I think of the Bass Tracker, if you will. So it's a pretty amazing aluminum boat. Let me just point out that you're probably not going to load this one in the bed of your truck like I did today. I'm honestly pretty tired from it. I'm pretty worn out. You can hear my voice. It's not just my voice that's fatigued. My body is tired. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting a shower when this live stream's done, and I'm going to crash. I'm checking out for the night. I promise. But this Jon Boat here, it's a trailerable Jon Boat, but still the same idea. You can set up these spider rigs, and I'm going to talk about crappie a little bit. That's why the art. And these spider rigs, you can set up however many rods you're legally allowed to. A lot of guys, if you got 2 guys on the boat, you can do 6 rods. And it's a simple rod tree, and you can just hang normal spinner rods right off the front. So 3 rods a piece, and you can drop the bottom rig down here can be a weighted jig head with a minnow. And then you can do an Aberdeen hook up here with a minnow on it. And the idea is just to find a tree that's holding them and then hang. Just think of it as a curtain. If you can imagine just a curtain of baits just down there floating around and swimming right above that tree where all the crappie are holding. How long could a crappie look at that and not take one of them? It's a very effective way to fish. It's called spider rigging, and it's a very effective crappie technique. Now, not everybody has the option to put down 6 rods at once, but you can certainly take 1 rod and do the same approach. Same tree, same crappie, same presentation. Just come over and park above them, and then drop that 1 line and just have it down there dangling right above the tree where they're all kind of like collected at, and one of them's going to shoot up and grab it. That's the idea of spider rigging, but you don't have to have a whole bunch of rods to be able to make that happen. But that's what we're looking at here. Now, I will point out this right here. 11-foot rods. 11-foot rods. That's a real thing. Spider rigging, they use long rods. They do that for a reason, a couple reasons, but it helps with the hook set so that you don't tear it. Like crappie are known to have real soft, easily torn mouths. So they call them paper mouths. It's kind of a nickname. Excuse me. But it helps with a real whippy rod so that it's real soft tip. So when you set the hook, it doesn't rip loose. And the other thing is, too, is if you can imagine, if you have 8 rods right there on the deck of your boat, the longer they get or the further they get away from you, the more spread that you get. So you get more of a blanket. So more of an umbrella hanging down over it, the further apart they are. And then they just adjust and move the boat into a better and better position. That's spider rigging in a nutshell, and it's highly effective for crappie. I like to do that, but I typically do it with just a couple rods. We do a similar technique for Lakers too. when we're jigging, we usually put some live bait rods, just 1 or 2 of them, and we set them down to the right depths, and then we'll jig our artificials as well. Same idea, just different target species, of course. But 11-foot rods is what they're recommending. You don't have to have 11-foot rods, but those are the reasons for it. Spider rigging, guys. And this is kind of what it would look like from up on the deck. And it's saying to use these 2 to 3 ounce egg weights. I don't think you have to be that heavy unless you're going really deep. And yeah, there's some names for the holders here, but you can hold 4 rods in each side. You can imagine that's ideal. But it wouldn't be hard to take a Jon Boat and just put a rod holder up here, and then hold one in your hand. So you would have one off each side, effectively fishing over top those treetops, and then you would hold one in your hand and work as well. Easily you could manage on a small boat, you can manage 3 rods. Hope I didn't miss anybody tonight. I think I got you all. Mark, I already said good evening, but in case I missed you, good evening. Hey back. I have a lot going through my mind right now. I was thinking about sharing a bunch of things like business-related stuff. I try not to beat people up with that. I should point out one thing, though, and I might be... Let me bring this up. I want to brag on you guys just a little bit. I really appreciate it. It has to do with the Amazon affiliates. I had a good month. That's all it was. My I'll say my predictions were that we were going to grow this month, and we did. So in January it was about $5, February 20, March 30. And right now where it sits, we are right at $40. So 5, 20, 30, 40. So that as of April, as of right now, as this live stream, you can see that we have our highest month of the year so far. This $40 may not sound like a lot, guys. And I'm not exactly doing a cartwheel about $40, but what I'm seeing is real growth, steady growth. And that helps me out. It's a no-cost way that everybody can support my business and these live streams, and YouTube doesn't pay me yet, so why not? But below every video, you guys can go down to the About section, and you will see links for Amazon affiliate products. So you can click on those, go to Amazon, and Amazon pays me a little commission and stuff. A lot of you guys are doing that, and it shows up in the numbers. So this chart that I'm showing you is because of you guys following those links. Whenever you go to Amazon, you guys are purchasing those products and following those links. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to hang out for another like 5 or 10 minutes just to chat with you guys, but I think that's all I wanted to cover on this stream. And besides, I'm feeling a little hoarse, as you can probably tell. I had a good day on the water, no doubt. Any day on the water is good, but so I'm not complaining at all, but I am a little worn thin. I'm wearing my buddy Braair's Lures t-shirt, so shout out to Brian. If you guys need some lures painted up, if you need some spoons, if you need some crankbaits, reach out to Braair's Lures. That's my buddy that does some great art for lures, and he's a local artisan. And let me point out the fact that his lures are high performance lures. So because they're custom, you're going to get a better product than what you would buy off any shelf in a store. And he's a local dude, too. He's a local guy making lures for us. So reach out to Briar's Lures on Facebook, and I'll see if I can come back and actually link him down below this video in case you're catching up with it later. But a good guy, he's a good friend, and actually he's got a few things I need to stop down and pick up. He's painting up some spoons for me. All right, Hagee. Mr. Hagee, have a good night. Yeah, so Joe's pointing out tonight I'm tired, it is a lot to load and unload. I found there's some real technique to it. Like, I consider myself to be pretty strong. I'm pretty fit, all that stuff. But it's still heavy. It's not that it's not. But what I found is that if I back the truck up to the ramp, I can slide the boat out of the bed and kind of like set the back end down, and then with it on the tailgate, and then I can just kind of swing the other end and set it down. And at that point, I can just kind of wobble it back into the water. But I still need to lift the engine and attach it and all that stuff. So it's a bit of work to get that Jon Boat into the water. But you guys can watch the video I just posted. It shows you. And I'll link it here at the end of this live stream. So if you guys want to check out that video, it'll be right there linked. But it's on there if you guys want to watch. There's a little bit of work involved with launching a Jon Boat without a trailer. And I do not plan on using a trailer for this Jon Boat. Like I said, I want to keep it as basic as possible. So continue to follow the Jon Boat series on my YouTube channel, and I'll talk about more of these Jon Boat or small boat fishing techniques and how to apply them at our favorite lake, Raystown Lake. It's interesting too, because I did so much Jon Boat fishing back in the day that now it's in front of me now and I'm doing it again. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. We have the bank angling event coming up. I want to bring that up and share that with you guys. But I do plan on taking my Jon Boat to the bank angling event. I'm going to chum the area in front of it too. So I'm going to put out a bunch of chopped stuff, basically. There it is. Let's bring that up and share it with us. So the bank angling event is coming up on May 9th, and you can find this on my Facebook page. And there's a link here if you want to do the registration for it. It'll just take you to my website, and you can do the registration there if you want. And that's voluntary. You do not have to do the registration. The most important thing is that you just show up, of course. But on Facebook, there is an announcement for the bank angling event. If you can make that, I would appreciate it if you would come down here and do a click going. Just say that you're coming. That just helps me get an idea how many people are going to be there. But that's going on. It's coming up on May 9th. So it's like 2 weeks or something like that. How many days out is that? So it's like 12 days away. Something like that. But yeah, the bank angling event's coming up, guys. Pretty exciting. No, Brian is not back to work for sure. He's still healing. Actually, I don't know when his surgery was, but no, he's definitely not working. It's going to take him some time. All right. So, guys, I am going to shut it down for the night. I appreciate you guys. Give me a little grace on this. I'm just not feeling the best tonight to do a long live stream. Do me this favor on your way out. Give me a like and maybe say goodbye in the comment or something like that. That lets YouTube know that something's going on here that's worth sharing. So that helps the algorithm. And I will catch up with you guys in either the next live stream, a doc update, or if you would, just right after this video, go watch my new Jon Boat video that I just uploaded this evening. And all that stuff helps out. If you guys are doing any shopping online through Amazon, do me a favor and follow one of the affiliate links down below these videos before you go and do that. It's a no-cost way that you can support me. I appreciate it. Stay afloat on the little boats. I love it. Tiny Boat Nation, baby. So thank you guys. I appreciate you tuning in for this Jon Boat live stream. I will see you on the water. If anybody wants to do a charter or something with me, reach out. RandallRydes.com for everything Randall Rydes. And with that, I'm going to say good night. Good night, guys. Much love. Much respect.